Hi, welcome to UK GK TV. I'm Bill Voice.
I'm Dave Nicholson, and today we've got a special collector with us, a guy called Mike Parker, who comes to the workshop. He's here today to talk about his specialist subjects, like Mastermind, Bill, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically sci-fi, and we've just had a bit of a discussion before we started, and the sci-fi we both tend to like is black and white sci-fi from the 50s and early 60s. I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah, very much.
But how do you define sci-fi then?
Sci-fi. Science fiction. I would suggest that science fiction is about alternative realities that you can perhaps identify with, and a lot of the themes are based around technology or the way technology goes wrong. I mean, Frankenstein to an extent is always considered an early piece of science fiction.
Predator, is that sci-fi?
I'd probably say
It's
it's
gothic sci-fi. Yeah.
Aliens?
Aliens
Definitely,
definitely.
So there you go. That's them two covered.
And then you've got sci-fi, which is more sort of space opera, though, haven't you?
Yeah.
Like Star Wars, which we have our opinions
Well, we've
on.
got an opinion later on. I think it might be a bit of a unanimous decision here.
And Star Trek.
Definitely Star Trek.
We're Trekkies. We're Trekkies.
But that's Planet of the Apes for me is like this,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we have this conversation quite regular. Star Trek, Star Wars. Unfortunately, guys, I'm a Trekkie.
I'm a Trekkie.
So we're Trekkies. So Mike Tipping, they're the best ones. All right. Okay. Anyway, Mike, where did we meet? How long ago was it, mate?
I think it's about 7 or 8 years ago.
And how did that happen?
You were literally in that place that used to be in Blakemere.
Yep.
And we came round and you were all painting stuff, and I started looking, and I was going to walk away, and my wife said, "You've got to have a go. You've got to have a go." I said, No. She said, "You're going to have a go," and that was it.
That was it. And you've never had any money since.
That's true. Absolutely. I did paint stuff when I was a kid. I did Airfix and stuff.
Did you go down like Bill with the dinos and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I did a few creatures. I did a.
Did you do the Spock with the serpent? What's
Yes.
that like?
It's the AMT kit. It was AMT or Aurora, and it was Spock, and it's a 3-headed dragon.
Yeah, I did that.
Coming out of a little cave.
Yeah, with his phaser on it.
Did that actually happen in the series?
No.
Totally imaginary.
They couldn't
do the effects.
Couldn't do that kind of budget. No.
Didn't have the budget.
So we've all come from the same background.
Yeah.
I think Star Trek it was like majorly influential on my life. I have to say, it's like some of the I can quote verbatims. It's like Spock stuff like this, isn't it? I mean,
I can't even do that.
It's like this. And when you
Can
have
you
a
do it?
girlfriend and she can't understand the difference between Star Trek and Star Wars, she's got to go.
I mean, the thing I was thinking about this when Dave asked me to sort of say something, and I was thinking what was a major influence on me. I think Star Trek was, but the first influences were puppets. Was Jerry Anderson. It was Fireball XL5, Thunderbirds, Supercar. I can just about remember.
Supercar.
Captain Scarlet, I loved. That was 60,
Captain Scarlet was
68. Joe 90, yeah. Everybody called me Joe 90 because I had the gold glasses.
Did you?
Yeah. So that was 1968.
Terrorhawks.
Yeah, I like Terrorhawks.
Terrorhawks, okay, Terrorhawks.
But I watched. I know they've cleaned them up, haven't they? But I watched some of the Jerry Anderson Thunderbirds recently.
Yeah.
And the special effects were pretty damn good for the time.
They're movie qualities. They are movie quality.
They really are.
In real time effects are.
We just like them a bit clunky though, don't we?
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, my favourite was Captain Scarlet.
Yeah, me too.
I kind of that was my fave, and then obviously as I got a bit older, UFO.
For various reasons, UFO. Yeah, I have to say.
Why?
Reasons.
We're not going to say why.
Because the cars.
The cars are cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
It's the cars.
A little bit slow.
It was the cars. It wasn't the string costume.
Nothing to do with Moonbase, was it?
No.
Captain Scarlet was really expensive. And that was one of the reasons why it didn't. I mean, it was only on for just over a year. That was it.
Yeah, they only made about 12 episodes,
something
13
like that.
episodes.
I mean, it was really, really well done. Really,
and actually, if you think about the theme of it and the notion of this like guy was indestructible and these mysterons, that you never quite get to the end of the mystery. And on one hand, I kind of quite frustrating, but on the other hand, I kind of sort of found it fascinating.
Yeah. I think it was quite dark as well. I mean,
dark.
it was quite
Captain
sinister.
Black. Captain Black was pretty
dark,
bad.
yeah.
The thing that amazes me, guys, back to the video. Do we know any kits that were involved with the Jerry Anderson stuff? Figure kits? Was it?
There's a lot of Japanese Bandai kits that do Thunderbirds and a kind of another sort of Japanese sort of extension of Thunderbirds, but you know the UFO interceptors, they were Dinky cars when I was a kid.
Right,
Dinky had the license. It made the Shadow Interceptor. It made the Captain Scarlet.
Sid, remember Sid?
I do, yeah.
It made that, and it made Fireball XL5 was about, but I think that was, I think that was Dinky as well.
It could have been Corgi. I remember it had the plastic wings on it.
Corgi was the smaller one.
smaller
Dinky
one.
was the big one.
Dinky was the big
What does SID stand for?
Special Investigation Department.
SID?
Don't know.
It was Space Intruder Detector.
So
So I obviously, unlike these two ex-teachers or teachers, I didn't go to school. I was staying at home watching
UFO.
You had a better education.
Yeah, I had a better education. Anyway, back to you,
Then
Mike.
it was definitely Doctor Who.
Now I'm a bit portly and I find it harder to get into my very low slung BMW. You know when they used to jump into the they go down the chute in the submarine.
Oh, that's right.
A laundry chute with Peter Godino in his string vest.
I feel like
Chicks love him.
We can't get him off the subject, can we?
No, we can't. We
Sorry,
can't. Anyway,
Doctor Who was major for me. One of my earliest memories, I was thinking about this because you asked me.
Yeah.
I was thinking the earliest memory I have of sci-fi is my mum being really frightened and me hiding behind the settee watching Doctor Who.
Which one? The Daleks?
I think it was the Daleks. And the Daleks appeared
Just
in the first series.
Mike,
they also
just
later
go
on.
upstairs. You'll be all right. Go upstairs.
The Daleks levitate now, don't they?
Yeah, but not in the 60s.
I like
Not in the
I love the
60s.
old ones.
Not in the 60s.
And you know, it's great that they're all available on BBC to watch them again.
The one that caught my imagination too. The creatures from under the water, the big
coming out of the water.
and those sea forts down south. Taking place in these sea forts, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But the other one that really scared me and it made me unable to go anywhere near a Gothic church for about 3 years was Doctor Who and the Demons.
Yeah, that's right.
This gargoyle comes to life and it chases the Doctor out of the church and they blow it up with a bazooka. But that devil thing kind of really freaked me out as a kid.
But what about that then? Is it because the UK base things we're talking about that are not presented very, readily available as model kits? Do you think that's why the garage kit scene has not really touched on it?
I don't know. The BBC have got an incredible stranglehold on it as well.
They have.
I'm on about the garage kits because I know that there's one guy that does all the Doctors, a guy called Gary at Mooncrest Models, and funnily enough we've got that's Mooncrest. Yeah, we've got one of them now. I think he's done most of the Doctors. So check Gary out. It's Gary from Mooncrest. Forget his name now. Really nice guy. Really nice guy. Mooncrest Models. Check him out. He's done most of the Doctors, and they're really, really good. So, failing that, Doctor Who, I can't really remember. I know Paul in the early days when he was Invaders did a few of the villains and the creatures, but it's kind of been missed, hasn't it? Do you think that's because it's a UK predominantly thing?
I think we take it for granted, don't we? I don't think it's a culture never really takes much notice of its own history, does it?
No.
I think that's the case of it.
Yeah.
And because American stuff was always very rare, we tend to move towards an American sort of stuff when we look at garage kits because they're more spectacular and stuff like that. The problem is, I think, with British sci-fi or British horror is the fact that, well, it's kind of very domestic, isn't it? And the best kits that I've seen have been like Blake 7 spaceship, the what's it called, the Liberator.
Oh yeah.
I've seen a couple of Liberator kits and they've been really good sci-fi stuff.
So
I've seen quite a lot of stuff which is very sort of edgy sci-fi stuff, which is based around Blake 7. Very short run, very very simple stuff and you can get communicators and.
You get the hardware, can't you?
You get the hardware. You get the hardware.
So what are we talking now, guys?
Well,
Mike, are you in the 50s, 60s?
This is all 60s.
You're 60s man. 60s.
I do know a lot of the 1950s films, and I love the American ones in particular.
So which is your favourite?
Well, are we talking films or television series? Because we're talking.
I think you've got to stop.
Bit of both.
Well, for me, as a television series, the most. I think one of the most important television series ever made for sci-fi is The Twilight Zone. It was just, he was a genius. I mean, Rod Serling wrote, 92 of the scripts, 2/3 of the entire run. Poor guy smoked himself to death and died age 50 because he worked 16-hour days working on them.
Yeah.
But behind that were great writers. Richard Matheson was in several of the original stories.
Has that spawned many garage kits?
Well, It's done quite a few. I mean, I've got a couple.
Do you want to show,
I've got one
show
here. I mean,
these?
this is Eye of the Beholder. I don't know if you can see it there.
There you go.
Which is
where's this one from?
This one's from Dimensional Designs.
Danny at San Francisco.
Yeah.
Big shout out to Danny.
It's all right. And he's also. I went over to San Francisco.
Oh, it's lovely.
I was lucky to meet him.
Absolutely. I did say what he was like, didn't I?
He was fantastic.
He was exactly
really
how
nice.
I said, didn't he?
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is an episode about the perception of beauty, isn't it?
It is, absolutely,
yeah.
And that was the thing about the Twilight Zone that made it better than even the Outer Limits, which we'll talk about in a minute, because it was all about questioning things.
Yeah.
It was all about racism and prejudice and the common man. It was regarded as quite radical by some people in America. Some politicians in America really didn't like it.
So which one's that then? The Twilight Zone one?
Yeah,
the
Twilight Zone, yeah.
And this one's a bust by Dimensional Designs, Danny Scirocco. And is it still available?
It's still available, yeah. I mean, he sold me when I went over there. I really chased him down.
Danny.
Because Danny did this. I haven't finished it, so I haven't brought it in. But basically, it's Rod Serling standing in front of the iconic opening scene, the images from the opening scene backdrop, about that, about 10 inches tall. It's an older style kit.
It's a grail, isn't it? It's a grail. It's a grail kit.
And some of those episodes are crying out for somebody. I mean, there are models out there.
Is there legs in it, do you think, Mike? Do you think
I think there is. I mean, there's more monsters in Outer Limits.
Yeah, the Outer Limits is the other series, isn't it?
But we were talking about what's it called? The William Shatner 40,000 feet.
Terror at 40,000 feet, and
the
Gremlin.
The Gremlin.
The Gremlin. Now, I'm pretty sure there's mileage in the Gremlin.
There really
if you can sell as anti-misfit, you can sell a Gremlin.
It's anti-misfits.
The Gremlin. I mean, it's such an iconic episode. I mean, they turned it into they put it into the film when they made the film, which wasn't as good as the original.
There was recently a UK company, a UK sculptor, that put his anti-misfit out. And he sent it to me, and I'll be honest, it's my own fault. He said, "What do you reckon?" And I looked at it and I thought, it's just a giant spider with a horrible head on it. Yeah. I'm never going to sell any of them. And he sold loads. He sold loads.
Well, if he sold
shout out to Terry.
I think the Gremlin from Twilight Zone would sell more.
And then Paul Fay could do the Gremlin.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
he's a master of fur, isn't he?
And then for me, I don't know, have you seen the one at the bar? Will the real Martian stand up?
Oh yeah.
And basically the twist is at the end is he takes off his cap and he's got a third eye in the middle of his head, and it's just that is a fantastic kit waiting to be made,
Right. So the next lot. What's the next ones we've got here,
we did talk about the Outer Limits. I mean,
now guys, we all know that there's some fantastic sculptors in the US. We all know who they are. But these are stunning. I love these. The finish on these is. Do you want to tell us a bit about them?
Well, John Denning, lovely bloke.
Oh, smashing! A legend, absolute legend.
And he's done. I think he's done 8 from the Outer Limits. 1963. So just
these are amazing, guys. Look at them.
The eyebrows on that. The brow.
Well, just look at them. Just look at them.
That
has got to be one. If you're into these are an absolute stunning, superb, and nice little touch at the bottom.
He always writes a lovely message on the bottom. He's great at communicating. I had to buy them from America. He's great at getting them to them. I love these. 5 days he got them to me.
If you want quality, John Dennett. What's the company called?
I don't know. I don't know.
Superb.
John Dennett just
absolutely stunning. These things are. I mean, a nice size as well.
They are, especially if you've not got much space like me.
I mean, to be honest, he's done a great job of painting.
Well,
he's
done.
That's a super job of painting them as well. They are. What's this one?
This is a bit later, but I mean, going back to the Outer Limits. I mean, there are. John Dennett's done about 8, but there are more out there. But there's room for a lot more because the Outer Limits had loads of monsters.
Do you think he's going to do them all?
I don't know, but if he doesn't, somebody should. And I don't want to take business away from John Dennett, but I wish somebody in the UK would do it. This is Quatermass in the Pit. Now, the interesting thing about this is that originally it was a British television series.
It's
BBC.
a Mooncrest one.
Yes, this is Mooncrest.
Gary at Mooncrest again. Big shout out to Gary. It's a lovely looking kit.
It is.
It's a really nice quality technical movie, wasn't it? Based on a BBC film series, which was, as you said, was a lot better than the film. But the film's still a cracker of a film.
It is a good film. But it's a really frightening film. It's set in an abandoned tube station, basically.
I mean, kind of touches a little bit on the supernatural in a way, doesn't
it?
it?
Does.
Because I mean, it's Hobbs Lane, which Hobbs the old word for the devil, and when the people who experience this like psychic fallout from these creatures, they think they're seeing demons, don't they?
Yeah.
And for years and years and years in this place in Hobbs Lane, they see these apparitions of demons, and it turns out it's a psychic projection from these dead Martians in this like capsule.
Yeah.
Very complex script, isn't it?
Well, it's about genocide.
It's
it's typical of the early BBC that it's Nigel Neal who wrote loads of great scripts, and it's really about dark stuff. You know, I've seen the film many times. I've seen the series, and actually the series is better. It's more disturbing. That's 1950s, so we shouldn't be talking about that.
So I'm going to pin you down now, Mike. I'm going to pin you down. Sci-fi film. What's your favourite?
Oh my God! Of the 1960s.
I'm going to ask you, Bill, so you've got time to think about it.
Do you know? I probably. I mean, it wouldn't be this. This is 1968. I know 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Right.
Not that, but a good film, but pretentious. I know you guys absolutely adore Planet of the Apes, and so do I.
Yeah.
The ending of the Planet of the
First
Apes
one
is just fantastic.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you. Any film with a gorilla and a horse with a machine gun.
It's always got
It's
you.
good, hasn't it? It's got to be good.
Well, how can it go wrong with that? It's a gorilla.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On a horse. That's it. You can just go around shooting everything.
A gorilla running around is pretty good, though, isn't it?
Oh, come on. It was amazing, wasn't it? It was fantastic. When I watched
I
it
tell you what, imagine King Kong
on a horse.
on Godzilla
Shooting.
with a machine gun.
Which brings us on to this one. Nicely. Well done, Mike. Good link there. Ape and Up by Paul, now available. Third scale. Fantastic. Probably one of his best ones.
Give him a close up.
Yeah,
I mean, the detail is just fantastic.
The detail
really
in the
is.
zip and
It's
the
wonderful.
collar can't be beaten.
This is the one from. See how good you are, guys. What film's that from?
That's Escape from Planet Apes.
Escape from Planet of the
that's it,
Apes with the
That's
suit
Escape
on.
from Planet Apes when they
Beautiful.
come back to Earth.
That's
go
the
back
one.
through time and come back to Earth.
Paul's Apes are just
Good film.
unbelievable, man.
Very good film, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Once again there.
And then we've basically guys decided that we're going to do. I just seen the concept of this. You can't see it on here, but I'll put a picture up later. This is Evil Knievel.
Oh right, it's
Evil Knievel, mate.
Yes, Evil
It's
Knievel.
got the stars all the way down the side. It makes you laugh to look at
Too
it.
good not to do that, wasn't it?
Yeah. So basically, that's based on a gentleman's artwork who I'll put credit up at the end, and he's kindly now given us permission to do it. Thank you very much.
But I mean, we were talking the link between Twilight Zone and Planet of the Apes is the intelligence of it. You know, it appears to be just a story about a Planet of the Apes. You know,
Yeah.
but it turns out to be something
It's
much
a
darker.
massive metaphor about civil rights. It's a massive metaphor about communism, isn't it? It's a massive
Planet of the
metaphor
Apes.
about the McCarthy witch hunts. I mean, a lot of it is.
Absolutely.
What's that, Planet of the Apes?
Planet of the Apes and a lot of
But
the
it's
Twilight
got a
Zone.
gorilla with a machine gun on
And
it.
it's got a gorilla in a machine gun with a really funky helmet.
Yeah.
I used to love
And
the
what
helmets.
what kind of throws me off about the old film of Planet of the Apes? Right at the beginning when they're chasing them through the field and stuff.
Cornfield Roundup, it's called.
Yeah, they do all that, right? And then they've got a bloke taking a picture of them. A gorilla taking a picture
Yeah,
of
but
it.
it's like
It's great, isn't
It's
it?
great. It's like
It doesn't make
Trophy
doesn't make sense though. Does
But
it?
doesn't matter that. You see these guys who just killed the lion standing there with their gun, and they get a photograph taken and they put it on the wall.
You're looking too deep into
no,
this.
I'm not. What I'm looking for is that kind of, that kind of irony.
Yeah, something. I mean, for me,
You know.
you and I were talking about what is science fiction. Okay, you know, it's all that stuff about hard science and and fantasy and all that. But for me, the best science fiction's always got something to say. It's always something thoughtful, intelligent. It's not just. It's not just, you know, the original Battlestar Galactica. You know, it's something a bit more than that.
Buck Rogers. Why did we all like Buck Rogers? I wonder
can't
why.
imagine.
I wonder why.
I'm keeping quiet.
Because your wife's watching.
Because your wife's not.
But I mean, take Planet of the Apes. At the end, what you realise is that the apes aren't the monsters.
The human beings.
It's
are
the
monsters.
human beings
He's
that are the
destroyed
monsters,
place.
and they've destroyed
And they're
everything.
right. They're right to be scared of a talking human, aren't they?
Yeah.
To be honest, when I was growing up, it was either Planet of the Apes or Star Wars. I was Planet of the Apes every time. You're gonna.
No, I'd prefer Planet of the Apes to Star
Oh, I might tip in again. Shout out.
I do love Star Wars.
You know what? If
but
they
Star
made
Trek
a
for me.
half hour, didn't they? Roddy McDowall reprised his role. He was Galen in the TV series, and they made a half hour
TV
Saturday night
series.
TV series.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
I
I
enjoyed
watched
it.
every single one, start to finish. Sadly, only got took
one
up for 2
series,
series.
yeah.
One series.
Yeah.
One
series.
Only did one series.
It was because the competition at the time was too much. That's why they scrapped it. The competition on the other channels they just couldn't compete at the time. But I can remember when I was a lad playing football, and my dad used to shout at us and say, "It's on!" And all the whole street watched it. Right, you've had some time.
Well, we haven't talked Star Trek. I mean,
Go on.
Star Trek 1966. If it annoys me when I love Star Trek because
Original series.
the thoughtfulness. Think about the issues it was about. It was only 20 years after the Second World War.
Yep.
It was in the middle of the Cold War. You'd got a Japanese guys whose parents had been interned in a prison camp in America. You'd got a Russian Jew, Walter Koenig.
Yeah.
They dared to put those people on the program.
Yeah.
They had one of the first black-white kisses.
Yeah,
which
Michelle Nichols kissing Captain Kirk.
Yeah, but let's be honest. Captain Kirk will sleep with anybody, doesn't he?
No, but
any colour, doesn't he? That's not record breaking. Come on, did he sleep with a blue
alien? Went
alien?
unnoticed because England's always been a relatively multiracial society because of the empire and stuff like that. But in America, some idiots refused to show
there were
that
two
episode.
states.
I'm
States
sitting there
refused to show
thinking,
it.
Wow.
Captain Kirk's a lucky guy, and there's a load of blokes in the southern states going, not showing that.
Did he have a bit of sexy time with a blue alien as well? Well done.
The interesting thing about the kiss is that the producers at the last minute got a little bit nervous about it. And it was actually Shatner and what's her name? Michelle Nichols, who actually said, no, we're doing it.
I just said, come on.
And they got on and did it. And there's this myth about complaints. I mean, there were the states who wouldn't show it, but actually the reaction, thank God, was a good one from everybody. There was loads of writing in saying how wonderful it was.
Michelle Nichols' autobiography, and it's well worth a read because it looks at it as an alternative look at Hollywood and California at that time. It's an absolutely superb bit of writing that she does, but because there was a lot of fallout. They all fell out with each other at various points, and Shatner fell out with everybody because of the amount of money that he wasn't earning, as did Spock and Leonard Nimoy. But she said the one thing that she would carry with her forever was that visual image of him kissing her.
But again, think about what it's about. Do you remember the one with the black and white faces?
And the only difference between the two races was one had white on the left and one had black on the right.
And it was all about racism.
It was about racism.
And there was so much that was about freedom and the liberty to speak and so on. And the wonderful Leonard Nimoy as Spock. Fantastic.
That's a half-scale bust by Darren Harvey. I think it's the best one of the two, this one. It captured the likeness perfectly. You painted this one, Mike?
No, it's too difficult for me.
Mike says this is a great one. Is the badge right, Mike?
It is. I own one. So, yes, it is absolutely right.
It's a lovely piece. Great likeness of him. Superb.
And I've quite enjoyed the spin-offs. Some of the spin-offs have been very good.
I have to say I liked the Next Generation because it was almost as though they were appealing to my sense of please bring Star Wars back. Star Trek back. Sorry.
I loved Voyager. I've got to say. I thought Voyager was.
I have to take a bit of a backseat on Voyager because I felt it had just got to a point where society had started to be a little bit preachy.
Yeah, there was a bit.
And Deep Space Nine, I really loved Deep Space Nine because it was very militaristic and there was a great big Dominion war. And I love hard sci-fi with spaceships and space battles. Yeah. So I loved it for that. And it was okay. I think
I can trump one better than you, Bill. Best Star Wars. It's even more Star Wars than Star Wars. Seth MacFarlane one.
Oh yeah, the Orville.
The
Star
Orville.
Trek then.
More Star Trek.
The Orville. The Orville is Star Trek.
What it's got to draw on. Though. Come on. It's got 100 years of history to draw on it.
Oh, it's more Star Trek.
But you haven't watched Strange New Worlds, have you?
No.
And it goes right back to the origins of Star Trek.
I'll
it's
have
very,
to watch
very
that.
good.
What did you think of Enterprise? Was you alright?
I hated it.
You hated it?
Yeah, it's the only one I hated.
I didn't hate it. I loved the spaceship because it looked like a lightning.
And he was okay as captain,
didn't it?
But the worst ending of any series ever made. Just incredible.
So, do you think that Star Trek has spawned many model kits? What's your favourite? Geometric did a good line. They did the next gen. They didn't tend to go to the classic. We do the two classics. We do Kirk and Spock. I know there's a lot of hardware in there, but I know
loads of hardware. AMT, they do it. They're the hardware. There's a Vulcan shuttle out from the very first big movie.
So there's not many garage kits really from Trek, apart from Geo. Geo did them years ago and did a really good line. George at Geo, really nice guy. I don't know whether George. Well, it's not Geo. It's not Geometric anymore. Sorry, George. I do apologise. It's Black Art. But Geometric did a line of license.
Has anybody done a Ferengi?
Yeah.
Like a Ferengi?
Yeah,
great
yeah,
kit.
yeah. Ferengi was done.
To do.
Yeah, I think with Star Trek.
Oh, I know. Robert Needful Things did The Trouble with Tribbles, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, I've not seen that.
Trouble
I'd
with
like
Tribbles. Yeah, really good. That was really nice. Don't think it's in production anymore, but it was Kirk and Spock holding the Tribbles. That was a nice one.
Was the Tribble solid?
The Tribbles were like little pieces of fur, like little fur balls.
like fun fur.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I know. There was a good episode in Deep Space Nine when they went back in time.
Yes, it was wonderful.
And they visited I think it was the Deep Space whatever station it was when Kirk and Spock, and they used the CGI to get them to walk around.
They actually walked right next to him in the corridor.
Other,
and one of them had a crush on Bill Shatner, didn't she?
It was yeah. She goes, "Oh, he was he's more handsome than I thought."
But I mean, the thing is, there's also loads and loads of just generic. This
grey aliens.
Grey alien. This was.
Yeah,
I did it in blue
that.
because I thought it was nice.
That's that's the grey. That's done by a guy called Michael White.
Now test for you here, Bill. What do you
That's
think?
Mars Attacks.
Yes, but where does Mars Attacks come from?
Bubblegum collecting cards. Yes, bubblegum collecting cards. It was in the 1960s America.
60s, yeah.
When you bought bubblegum, it was a bit like Bazooka Joe in England, where you got a card. It was like tea cards in England, where you used to get these like PG Tips used to give you a little card of a dinosaur or whatever. Whereas in America, when you bought bubblegum, you got a collector's card. And it was called Mars Attacks, and it was very gruesome.
Yeah.
Very gruesome, almost like too adult for the kids kind of thing, like Martians lasering a dog and stuff like that.
They had one with somebody beheaded.
Yeah.
And they were just, and that's what the film's based on.
That's Tim Burton, isn't it?
It could only come out of the 1960s, well, late 1950s, early 60s.
There's a bit of psychedelia there, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. 64.
They also did a similar one years later with the dinosaur collector cards when the dinosaurs.
This one's available for yourself, and we do a 1-to-1 version, which is huge.
It's great fun to do because you look at the brain.
Yeah, let me get it down.
It's great fun to do, great kit. I put it in the glass because I just thought it looked like the dome from Mars Attacks.
It actually works. That actually works, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And here is the.
It's just
look at that.
If you've got the room.
I wonder if anybody's ever put a dome on it.
We tried to, but fortunately, when Darren sculpted it, he's not sculpted it. Right. So the dome would have to be like a pair top,
right. So
which would be great. We are currently modifying this so we can get a dome.
All right, that'd be brilliant.
Wow.
And then the one film we haven't mentioned is Barbarella.
Go on, show us what
I'd like to know what Bill thinks of Barbarella.
But we can't have Spock without Kirk. I'm just saying that. I'm being a Shatner fan. You can't have Nimoy without Shatner.
Do you know? I've got to say, I've seen Shatner in loads of models. Right. Most of them, to be honest, are not very good. I mean, think about the mask from Halloween.
That's probably Shatner's finest
moment,
isn't it?
This is the best Bill Shatner I've ever seen. I think.
Thank you for that. That's done by Darren. Darren did the Shatner and the Spock.
Barbarella, everybody knows it for the opening sequence and for Jane Fonda floating about. And there have been, I think there have been a couple of kits.
This is a Barbarella kit, yeah.
This is a sort of generic one,
I love
which is called Venus. Joe Bailey, isn't it?
Joe Bailey.
Yeah, we reviewed that, didn't we?
Yeah, a great kit. Yeah. Really, really nice. And obviously channels Barbarella with the UFOs in the background and the glamorous costume she's wearing.
The Forbidden Planet was probably my 50s favourite. It's beautiful visually. Chesney Bonastelli did the illustrations and the backdrops. Disney did the animation for the monster.
The monster is superb.
The monster from the Id.
Absolutely,
it's a monster that appears from thin air, and it just looks. You can't see it until you shoot it with a laser gun.
Yeah,
it's a monster. It's a fantastic movie. It spawned lots and lots of other things.
It did.
But the hardware is so clean, and that's where, because we're big Trekkies, that's the origin of Star Trek.
Yeah,
is the Forbidden Planet. If you look at that opening scene where they're going through space, and you look at the relationship between the captain and the science officer and the cook, it's Trek.
Yeah, and even the robot in there.
Even the robot. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny you asked me what was my favourite film, and I hesitated a bit because we're talking about 60s. But actually, my favourite sci-fi film is Forbidden Planet.
It's the originator.
That's why you've seen so many T-shirts with Forbidden Planet on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Great film.
So I think basically, guys, there's been enough here to talk that you guys are absolute lunatics with 60 sci-fi, haven't you?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I think we could do another 2 episodes if
We
I'm
could
honest.
do another 2 decades.
Yeah. Why don't we revisit the next level, and we can even talk about the dreaded Star Wars at some point. Get Mike back in.
We could do 70s and 80s.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll do that. But I
yeah.
think, to be honest, today's the 60s one for you guys, and I think we found your soft spot, guys. We found your soft spot, aren't we?
Well, it's my childhood.
Yeah.
too.
I thought Bill's was dinosaurs, but it's obviously
No,
60
it's
sci-fi.
it's still dinosaurs because they're with the most exciting things. But when you look back at it, science fiction, the best thing about science fiction is it kind of forewarns you of what might happen if you don't get your
Most of what they did in Star Trek is we've now actually got
Phones.
watches.
Yeah.
Even a tricorder.
Yeah.
We've got something like a tricorder.
Yeah. But one thing there's one little flaw in your plan, guys, and it's the same in Star Wars. You never wear that red shirt.
No.
In Star Wars, why couldn't he kill anybody, the stormtroopers? I'd sacked a lot of them. They'll shoot about, and the guy stood there. You all got to do is stand still, haven't you?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's like I was saying earlier on in the back room there. It's what was most disappointing about the third Star Wars movie is that the stormtroopers weren't accurate enough to kill the Ewoks.
Yeah. Well, that's another podcast.
That's another podcast.
Okay, guys, thanks for watching. We hope you've enjoyed it. We will be. It looks like we're going to be coming back for some 70s and 80s. 70s and 80s. If you like the video, guys, subscribe to the video and press the notification bell, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.